Large Marge? Nah, it's a completely different model. He didn't like Large Marge. It was a pain. It was a pain in Adam's butt. But he was excited when he got it. It's a cold morning here at Epcot, but I'm here to remember my friend and continue the series I said I was going to continue on our friendship and remembering him and giving you all a look behind the camera at what was going on. I'm going to be going in depth on some times that we hung out here at Epcot today. Most of it was not on camera because Adam and I were real friends outside of YouTube. YouTube brought us together and made us become friends, but we weren't friends because of YouTube. Does that make sense? Like, he wasn't just my video friend, even though he was one of the only people I really ever hang out with on this channel and do videos with. He and I come here all the time. We would eat lunch, we come walk around, we go to different parks, we go all the time to different places and didn't film any of it. And I figured on this series I would show you some places in the park that we did film. We can refer back to a few of the first times we were here. And as I'm walking around, I will tell you some history, some interesting stories that happen here, some funny stories that happen here. It's gonna be a good day. Let's remember our dear friend, Adam. Now,
let's take a closer look.
Now, it was the Daily Woo 1564, 2016. He hit me up and said, hey man, I kind of want to go get some food, maybe go to a store, let's go do the Orlando Eye. I need to do a video today. That was what he would say sometimes. Hey man, I gotta do a video. You want to roll? That was it. You want to roll? Sure, let's do it. See, okay, I'm gonna hop in the shower, and you want to meet at Chewy's? And that was like a meeting point for us. At the time, I believe Adam was either living with his folks or had just gotten his apartment in Celebration. I cannot remember this timeline really in my head. Correct me in the comments, but I believe he was still living with his folks at this point. I don't think he had moved to Celebration just yet. So we would meet either way at the Chewy's on International Drive. I'll remember it like yesterday. He texted me and said, hey man, Sweet Tomatoes. And at the time, Sweet Tomatoes was it. That was like the first place we ever went and had lunch. And we would always go there and get a lot of the soups and salads. We loved Sweet Tomatoes so much. And then we went over to the Orlando Eye. Went to a place called Theme Park Connection. And then I said, I think it was he who said, do you want to go grab something to drink and maybe stroll around Epcot? And I said, sure. And he said, I'm not going to film because I already done his video. You know, he already done his daily video. But I said, hey, I'm going to film because at the time I was doing this series called Tuesday, which was just a series I was doing where every Tuesday I was releasing a video no matter what. So we went to Sweet Tomatoes, and there's footage on his video of Sweet Tomatoes, followed by, I believe, Theme Park Connection and the Orlando Eye. We had a full day. A full day. Then we came to Epcot. Adam loved this thing, that's for sure. We always would take a photo here or start a video here. And if we had other people with us, this was usually it. This was the meeting point. Right here in front of Spaceship Earth. But the first time Adam and I were ever here together, Walt, was for Festival of the Holidays, the Daily Woo 16/12, 2016. We went to Chewy's, and then we came to the Festival of the Holidays. And this area was not a thing back in those days. Adam was like me. He really did not like this area. It's loud, and it looks like a hospital. Like, this looks like Orlando Health. Like, this looks like a hospital campus. And I get it, people like to come here and do their work and relax and everything. But there's nothing relaxing about the loud music over here, as Adam would say. I remember coming out here after this first opened, and Adam just ranting and raving to me for 20 minutes about how he didn't like this area, and I was laughing. Because when Adam would rant and rave, it would remind me so much of like John Ritter and Steve Martin. That was Adam. That was not the Adam you ever really saw on camera. Maybe a few times you saw a little bit of it, but when he ranted and raved, it was it was funny. All right, everybody, let's say it together. 1, 2, 3. There goes the monorail. Man, we would stand out here and wait for this thing to come by. Adam, like me, loves the monorail. He always talked about it in the videos. And anytime we were in this park, we would wait for that monorail to come by. There's so much footage of him waiting for that monorail. We would literally sit here and talk and wait for it to come by, then film it, and then move on. He would always set up the shot. He says, let's set up the shot. Oh man. Loved this place. He would always stop in here. This is where they always have like the new things for the festivals. And they changed this a lot, so it was easy content kind of thing, you know? We both also loved Figment. Still love Figment. He would have probably maybe have picked that up, at least a pen. And for some reason, that day, we went to the Festival of the Holidays, not the Festival of the Arts, but that day he was like, hey man, I'm meeting up with this guy, Tim. I think we're gonna go to Epcot, and we're gonna film some of the food and just like the whole event kind of thing, you know? And I was like, okay, cool. He goes, come with me. And I said, all right. So we met up and he was like, you can try out your new camera, your new microphone. And that was basically what I did. And this was a fun day. We really did almost everything you could do for a festival that day. And Adam really, really, really loved that festival. He would get so excited after I saw that first time we went. Every time it came around, he's like, dude, Festival of the Holidays, gotta go, we gotta get the food, gotta see all the Santa Claus, the Pierre Noel. Love the one over in France, Pierre Noel. Filmed all the Santas that day. He loved the entertainment here at Epcot. That was the one thing Adam really loved, was the entertainment. And not like Belle and Mickey and Minnie. I'm talking about the guys who had the whistles and had the footballs and do all the little crowd, you know, moments. The mimes, the drums in Japan, the real Epcot entertainment. He was a big, big fan of that. Also, let me remind you, Adam was just welcomed back into Walt Disney World property. And I remember those days, we would come in, it would still be new. He was kind of a little nervous sometimes. He always, you know, was like, what if they say no? What if they don't know? I've been let back in kind of thing. And we would walk in and there'd always be a security guard somewhere who would say, hey, welcome back, Adam, or welcome home, Adam. And that was so cool. That made him feel welcomed, and I loved seeing them do that for him. And it made him smile every time. And also fans of the channel were still getting used to the idea of Adam being back in the park. So it was always a discussion when we came in. Someone would, you know, say, hey, Adam, we watch your videos. We're glad you're back, kind of thing. And that was always a good positive thing for my buddy, because I know he loved this place more than most, and it hurt him when he couldn't come back in this place. And anytime we were here in China, we would walk in and look up, and you could hear your voice really good if you stand right in the middle. Like, the acoustics in here are insane. And he and I would stand here and video this. Sometimes didn't video it, but we always made a point to come in here just to cool off, or I don't know, we always just found a reason to do things. And I remember us always joking about how Christina Aguilera filmed her music video right here for Mulan. It's weird, Adam and I were both very ritualistic, I guess you would say. We had a lot of rituals that we would do, creatures of habit, I guess you could say, when we would come to the parks. And sometimes he and I would try and do things we had never done before. I have a lot of memories of that. But these were the memories that I could think of early on. So it's taking me back, and I have to put you in that mindset. Adam was just welcomed back into Walt Disney World. He was not doing long form videos. He was doing daily videos. They were the edited daily videos at this point. Because I remember the day he texted me and said, I think I'm moving to California. And then he did. and he moved to California, and it was so weird. We had just met, we were hanging out like kind of non-stop there for a minute, and then all of a sudden he was like, I'm going on another road trip, I'll be back. And we would just text each other while he was on those road trips, and then he was like, I think I'm moving to California. And I was like, do it. And I was like, go do it, man, because it doesn't matter where you live, you travel. You know, at least live somewhere where you're going to be happy. And so he did the California thing, and then when he was let back into Walt Disney World, he was coming back here a lot more, because filming in Orlando, minus a few other parks, which we would do filming and stuff, Walt Disney World was the one that Adam could do all the time, and he never really got tired of it, if you get my drift. He and I would go to Halloween Horror Nights, long before he was trespassed from Universal. We would go to Universal. We never filmed it. I don't know why. We filmed a Horror Nights, I believe, together, but we never really filmed any of those things because we were just friends. That was the thing. It was just like, he would text me and be like, hey man, I already did a video this morning, and just want to hang out. Let's hang out. And that was it. You know what I mean? It was like, he just wanted to hang out, and that's why I knew he genuinely was my friend, because it wasn't just the camera. You know, we had no problems hanging out with each other off camera. So Adam gets back into Walt Disney World, and we start coming here, and then we start filming it. And I'm going to continue this loop starting from China on things I can remember from those early days. Loved the Lotus Blossom Cafe. He really did. We would go there all the time in the early days, and I think because he had some nostalgic memories there. He would tell me when he first was living in Orlando and got an annual pass. He was an annual pass holder long before YouTube days, and he would tell me about a girlfriend that he had at the time. They would come here and they would eat at the Lotus Blossom Cafe every time. That was their thing. That was their thing. That was what they did. And we did that from time to time, and then all of a sudden, randomly, we just stopped eating there. The other thing that was always so interesting was Adam didn't drink. And my entire time knowing Adam, he never had any alcohol. And it was interesting how he made Epcot so much more fun without it, like other people couldn't. I remember one of the first times we ever hung out here, I showed him this building and I said, dude, this used to be a World Key building. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. And then he showed me the World Key stuff over at the front of the park that's no longer there, next to guest relations, but World Key was right here, and it was the Bell Corp or Bell South company at the time, AT&T. It was basically the first My Disney experience. And I did a video on this, and you could go in, they had these computers set up, and in the computers they had merchandise, reservations, information about any of the theme parks you needed, and you could real time have a phone conversation with someone. Skype before Skype was a thing, or FaceTime. And it was in this building right here. They used to have these little computers you could walk up and you say you wanted to eat at the Coral Reef. You could see if there were any reservations and you could book it there. Now it's no longer needed. It's obsolete because we have phones. We have World Key right here in our hands. But we thought that was so cool. He and I were always trying to find little bitty gritty things of the past that no one would care about. And then he and I would do videos about them. He was also a big fan of the artwork here. Sometimes he would have loved this. Best remove them. He would have loved that. And this. It was during those early days that I got to really know Adam as a Disney fan and what this guy meant to him, because it meant more or less the same to me. Also, I remember in those early days of coming to Epcot, people would come up, old friends of his. You know, some people during some festivals would have booths here, and they would come up and they're like, hey, man, I haven't seen you in a year or two, you still doing the YouTube thing. And that was always the thing. Wow, you're still making videos, huh? You're still doing your YouTube thing, your little YouTube channel, And it was cool to see it those early days, because it was a little YouTube channel in those early days. And I got to see it grow right before my own eyes. Well, I'll be. You can't make that up. David, and look at this one. The Hatbox Ghost and David. He would have filmed that. He would have thought that was so cool. Even though he wasn't David. He was David to a lot of folks, though. Now, a few shows and attractions that Adam loved that I remember right from the beginning was the American Adventure. He was so stoked when he asked me, hey, do you want to do the American Adventure? And I said, oh, hell yeah, dude, I love this show. He got so fired up. We went in because he was like, dude, no one ever wants to do this. You're like, oh, it's long, it's boring. I love American history. So did Adam. And he really loved this show. We would always talk about the American Adventure. And anything I would find online, the behind the scenes, I would always share with him. Oh, you can hear it. I can see Adam now running over here to get the shot. More or less what I'm doing right now. I'm not running for this. But he loved this show. We were here for the last day of this. But even early on, we would come and watch the show, even if we weren't filming it. He just wanted to come and watch it. He loved the entertainment so much here. He would always talk about, even then, man, when I'm old and retired and I'll come here and just drink a little coffee and walk around and I won't have to video and I'll just watch the entertainment. Another spot Adam really loved was the koi pond. He and I would always walk by the koi pond if we were in this area and just look over in. We would film it from time to time, I believe. They're still there. All these different sizes and colors. Love seeing them. Right back here was where we would always get food and try and get away from most of the crowds to film it. This trash can over here we would eat on in this area. I remember the frushi. One of the first couple of times we ever had frushi. He always liked to try stuff in Japan. We would always laugh about that. We would jokingly, like, kind of not make fun of each other, but we would make fun of ourselves with each other. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, you wake up. Nonetheless, you and I would be like, hey man, you want to go film some frushi? Let's go get the frushi, man, the secret exclusive food that no one knows about at Epcot. Let's go eat on a trash can. Let's do it. We thought it was so funny. We would just make fun of the whole, you know, vlogging thing, I guess, for a minute, because I'm not a vlogger. I've never considered myself a vlogger. I guess I'm more of a historian. Adam had a vlog, you know, he had a video blog that was daily. But this whole thing of, are you guys vlogging today? Are you gonna vlog your food? He thought that was so funny, because those were the things that people would say all the time to us and him. And you know, they mean well. We're not making fun of those folks. We're just saying it was always funny. Just like, gotta get the frushi. And we walk by and we see a billion people over here trying to film and get the best angle of frushi. So funny. So funny. Good times. Another place early on he and I bonded was in here in Morocco, because I told him right behind these walls where Hulk Hogan made a whole movie. And if you remember, Adam loved Hulk Hogan, like talking like, what you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania comes to Epcot, brother? we thought it was so funny that they filmed a Hulk Hogan film here. Thunder in Paradise. I did locations of that, but we would always joke about, like, this was the filming location for that. Could you imagine, like, Hulk Hogan in his heyday, you know, top of his career over here, is going, yeah, let's just get one thing straight, brother. I don't work for the mouse. I can still hear his voice right now. Do you remember the jugglers over here in France? Like, I'm talking old school, man. They had jugglers over here. I remember the one over in Italy. They had a guy who would do the ball and the whistle. But there was also a guy over here in France who would do some stuff. Adam was obsessed with it. I don't know why. I think he loved that live entertainment. He loved being around people. He loved people who were getting involved with it. You know, like if they caught the ball or they dropped it, he would be the first one to laugh. He was always into that stuff. It was great. Another thing he loved over here were the Santa Claus they had during that festival of the holidays. We saw for the first time Pierre Noel. And Adam was obsessed. He was like, dude, it's made me emotional. Like this whole thing, he was obsessed with him. And I think he filmed him every year ever since then. And right here was Pierre Noel's little spot. That was where the times were, right here where Aurora and Belle. But right here was where they would set him up every year. And Adam loved it. He really did. He loved hearing the story. He and I both were always like, dude, he's like Vincent Price. Like, you just want to keep listening. Even though he could be telling you a horror story, you just want to hear what this guy has to say. And we loved it. We really did. I'll always remember that Christmas. Look at these flowers. They survived the freeze almost. Some of them did. It's been cold out here. He would have loved this weather too, that's for sure. A little chilly. The sun shining just right. I remember coming out here with him, and it was a different vibe every time we were in Epcot. He was always just all about having a good time here. Even when we weren't filming, we would just come in. He's like, you want to ride Spaceship Earth? We always rode Spaceship Earth. Most of the time Figment. In those early days, it was really just walking around and talking and just becoming friends and looking in gift shops and looking at old things, old remnants of the past. And as time went on, it became other things. We would always go to the lounge, the DVC lounge. And those memories are going to be in a separate episode. I have other memories from the later years. These are early years memories. Unless it was a special fireworks show, he and I usually never stayed for the fireworks. I think Adam really liked our friendship more because he knew I would get up early and go meet him somewhere. He was an early riser. He was like, let's get up, let's go do the vlog, let's get some food, go home and sleep well. Take a little nap, you know. It was like, got up and worked. He was a hard worker. Maybe that's why. I think it was other things too. Not just me wanting to get up early. We had a lot in common. I remember always getting on the friendship boat over here with Adam and trying to get in the back of the boat so we could film the crossover from here to Morocco area. Almost into Morocco fully, but not quite. This was also during the time of the infamous time-lapse videos that Adam would do. I would love watching him set these shots up. He would take his phone, he would place it somewhere unique, somewhere he thought was a cool shot, setting up the shot, and then he would let it go. And he would get just a time lapse of just trying to letting you know, like, some time has passed. Later on in the videos, he would just continue to video and fill up all the time with random things we were doing that day. But back in those days, it was set the phone up somewhere, do the time lapse, and he and I would just sit there and talk about everything and nothing at the same time. He was my older brother. I could go to him for any kind of advice, and I wholeheartedly believed everything he told me was straight from the heart. He didn't never tell me what I wanted to hear, and if he did, he would tell me, I'm going to tell you what you want to hear, then I'm going to tell you what I think is happening. He always had a way of explaining things, as Forrest Gump would say. He always had a way of letting me know that if I just keep going, just keep pushing forward, everything's going to be okay. He truly made me feel like I was somebody. He truly made me feel like I was just as popular, just as important on YouTube or anything else. I was just as important. We could be hanging out with someone who had 1 billion subscribers, and I was included in everything. I loved him for that. And I know he was just doing it because he was Adam and I was his friend. But I'll never forget those early days in Epcot, learning what he liked, what he didn't like, We kind of had the same vibe on things we did like and we didn't like. I think that's why we got along so well here. Now there's one thing I can honestly say I remember from the early days of us coming to Epcot. And it wasn't the monorail that Adam loved so much here, or that he was obsessed with. It was honestly, wait for this monorail to go by because that's too pretty of a shot. There goes the monorail. It was up here. The Rainbow Tunnel, the infamous Rainbow Tunnel, Michael Jackson Rainbow Tunnel, the tunnel that had all the photos of Michael Jackson walking through. Adam wanted to get in that tunnel so bad. He wanted to do a full proper video of the history of that, match up all the shots of Michael Jackson in there. And I think he was really stoked that I knew what he was talking about. We saw Imagination and I was like, Michael Jackson. He was like, dude, the Rainbow Tunnel. Or as he would have said it, the Rainbow Tunnel. He would get excited about things and he would always do it in his Adam way. And it's funny to me, the place that he got in trouble for going to, he was welcomed with open arms. That was always the funniest thing to me. I'm like, yeah man, you give him enough money, you can go up there. He was so excited when he got DVC and we got to go up there anytime he wanted. And anytime he and I were here, we would go up there. Sometimes we would come here after filming and just go up and get a snack. Just go up, get a snack, get a drink. We did that from time to time. He also loved this area right here. This was one of our favorite areas to come over to, see the monorail, kind of take a break in the day if we were about to tackle World Showcase, or vice versa, just tackled World Showcase like we just did. This was the place to kind of get away from the crowds and folks, but also be in Disney. This was the best place to come up and get a monorail shot, that's for sure. I love the monorail just as much as he did. He just liked to film it a lot. He would find those things. He would find a certain thing and he would always film it. Always talked about that certain thing he would film. That was his thing. Favorite thing to do here was obviously ride Living with the Land and then get some pasta salad at the Seasons restaurant. He loved the pasta salad. He would get the pasta salad and then some other item, but he always had the pasta salad. He loved it. Sometimes 2 orders of the pasta salad. I remember doing that early on. Just a few more spots on today's episode. Now, one time Adam and I were here for Flower and Garden Festival, and we were so stoked because the Wonders of Life Pavilion was completely open. And I'll remember it every time I pass by this building, I swear. Every time I pass by this pavilion, I will remember this. We went in, they had all kinds of shows on the insides, demonstrations from HGTV and all these flower and plants and you know, flower and garden stuff. But we went in and we found all these old plaques for Body Wars, and they had like old phone numbers posted on all the walls of like the control center of Body Wars, and it was so cool. There was so much left from the Wonders of Life Pavilion. I just remember walking in there and roaming around. I'm sure a lot of it's on video. Going into the old bathroom in there and seeing how it hadn't changed. I always remember that. Inside that pavilion right there. It was like this was still the times of Epcot when yesteryear was still very much alive in here, and remains of old things were still out for everyone to see and kind of enjoy. And he and I did enjoy it. I still have a lot of those photos to this day from that day. And Club Cool, even though we would never get the Beverly except when we were filming, he always liked to get the other one they had here. And they no longer have it here. It was the Melon Frost. But for videos, it was the Beverly. But the Melon Frost was the one we always got to drink. And so today's episode has come to an end. I really had a good time. It was a little difficult. I'll admit I got emotional a few times, but I know he would be proud. I know that my friend would be proud that I came here and I made this video just talking about our friendship and memories that I have here of the early years. The early years are some times that I will treasure forever. 2016, 2017, those are what I consider the early years of mine and Adam's friendship. They were the best of times. There goes the monorail. I have other videos in this series in other parks, other places, and I will be throwing them in here on the channel from time to time. And then we will start the later years series eventually. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And for those of you who came up to me today and said hello, it truly meant the world to me to meet each and every one of you and have the conversations we did. Thank you for the photos. Thank you for saying hello. I was nervous because I didn't know how I would react because I knew people were going to mention Adam. And it still hits me hard when I hear those things. So thank you everybody for just being kind to me, for being easy with me today in the park. Today was my first time back at Epcot since last year. And I went to Magic Kingdom last night, my first time back in the theme parks in a long time. And it was difficult. It was something I needed to do because Adam would want me to do it. But just let you guys know, it's gonna be a minute before I ride things and do things and get back to normal. But I'm working on it. So thank you all for being kind. Thank you all for the kind comments on the previous video of this series. And I miss him every day, every second. I miss him. I wish I could text him now and tell him that I made this video. But I know he's happy. I know he's okay. And I know he would be proud. I love him, and I love you all too. I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, stay weird. Goodbye.